Oh, hello. I can see that the mistress of the Kurgan cult is already here, the high priestess. And so is LS16, always very zealous observer. And Xenos Dart, of course. All right, I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds while this populates a little bit and tells me how many of you are live, because I'm just going to get stuck right into it. But basically, I listened to Ann Barnhardt's latest podcast, which is still the latest currently. Not sure what number it is. If I remember, which I probably won't, I'll put it in the notes. But what's the date? Oh, we're a few days before the inauguration of Donald Trump. Oh, I mean Biden. We'll see what happens there. So let me just see while I wait for people. I'll try and get that number. Let me just have a quick look. And Barnhart. Let's see. Let's just. Here we go. Oh, it's good to see all the regulars. Grumpus Aurelius. Grumpus Aurelius is definitely an immortal just by judging from his comments on Social Galactic. I always enjoy them. I haven't been very active lately because I've been really busy with something that in a few weeks from now I'll be able to tell you more about, which should be quite interesting. All right, looks like Anne has been posting quite a lot. Let's see. Vatican, where is it? Here we go. Listen a question. Right. So it's podcast 134. And behind me, now it might be that the light in this room is making it a bit difficult for you to read, but I've tried to timestamp a little bit. So her podcast number 134, she starts off answering a question by a reader, but it's quite, in my book, I've got it here, got a copy here for some reason. In this book, which I'm now plugging again, since, oh, by the way, the Kindle version is now out, thanks to Rob Archangel of Archangel Inc., which is, he specializes in digitizing paper format books, and he did it off his own back just because he wanted to. I didn't ask him, I didn't know he existed, so if you need to digitize one of your books, go to this guy. But in this book here, I have been, I think, relatively charitable to Ann Barnhardt in my criticism of her, and I criticized several people because she was the only one that I assumed was not acting in bad faith. I still think she's not acting in bad faith. And I basically said she's a woman deceived by her wish to continue to be loyal, which I think, still has an element of it to it. However, I have, after this podcast 134, now come to the conclusion that the main error of Ann Barnhardt is ego. And she goes on and on and on about demonic narcissists. I don't think she's that level of person, but there is a little bit of narcissism there, and we will explore it together. Now, the question that's asked of her is, well, if Ratzinger dies, would you not become a sedevacantist? And her answer is, well, of course I would. Duh, of course I would. And then, 11 minutes in, she says that anybody that equates her saying that should be a sedevacantist if Ratzinger dies, that equates that with people like me who are saying that, we haven't had a valid pope since 1958, are either dumb or liars. Now, I do agree that if you equate people like me with people like Ann Barnhardt, you are dumb, you are very stupid, or a liar. I agree with that. Because if Ratzinger dies, Ann Barnhardt would still think that all the other fake popes since 1958 were actual popes, and that's retarded. So if you believe that, you're retarded. Or you're a liar. So I agree with her on the point, but for slightly different reasons. Now, does she explain why she thinks that her becoming a sedevacantist when Ratzinger dies is very different, completely different from people who saying there hasn't been a valid pope since 1958? No, she does not. Does she dodge that question? Yes, she does. She has always dodged it. She has dodged it perennially. Why? Because she can't face the truth. The truth is that she's simply wrong about it. And now, while I was charitable in my book, I do believe that there is a little bit more of an element to it, which is personal. Apparently, Anne was attacked quite viciously by sedevacantists who called her a whore and all kinds of names when she first came out, I guess. Now, I believe Ann Barnhart is a virgin and probably would be a nun in an older context. So, accusing her of sexual misconduct or something like that is just wrong, just outright flat wrong. And I think possibly that has colored her view of the sedevacantist position, and as a result of it, she is just emotionally incapable of going back on it because she dislikes these people so much. That's my charitable interpretation, because the only other interpretation is that she's an egotistical narcissist who just doesn't want to admit she's dead wrong. Because, again, on canon law, I go through all this in enough details. You guys have heard me talk about this enough. There is just no reply to the sedevacantist position because it is correct. And that's why there has been no response to my book, and there won't be. There'll be lies. There'll be people trying to rehash the same old tired nonsense, which I've taken apart in that book in detail. So she says that, but then she proves her own falsity and narcissism, because 22 minutes in she goes, oh, sorry if I'm in your way here. Let me just move a little bit to the side so maybe you can see better. 22 minutes in she goes, whether the Pope is the Pope or not is a binary thing. Either he is or he isn't. Exactly. Now you explain to me, Anne, how the hell can you think that Roncalli was a valid Pope when he was a Freemason? You can't be a Freemason and a Catholic, never mind Pope. Secondly, you cannot be a Pope or a Catholic when you are a notorious public heretic. And what does that mean? When you profess, teach, or promulgate heresy. Now, did Roncalli teach, promulgate heresy? Yes, he did. He put his stamp of authority on the first two documents that were issued in the Vatican II Council. They were issued after he died, but he approved them, which makes him a public notorious heretic post-mortem. Now, have popes been excommunicated and called invalid, fake anti-popes after they died? Yes, a bunch of them, dozens of them. So, same thing applies. And was Montini a pope? No. He published the remaining 14 documents he actually published all of them during his papacy, but he approved all the further documents after Roncalli died, and they're riddled with heresy. And you cannot be a more public and notorious heretic than publishing something from the Vatican, because it is meant for the entire world. Literally, you cannot be more of a public and notorious promulgator of heresy than publishing documents as a pretend pope. It's literally impossible. You just can't be more notorious than that. And that is the criteria for determining whether you are or are not a heretic. And whether you are or are not a heretic determines whether you're a Catholic. And if you're a public notorious heretic, you're not a Catholic. Therefore, you are not a pope or a cleric of the church or any such thing. Has she ever addressed this? No. Ann Barnhart has never addressed this. She further goes on to prove her utter nonsensical position, because 33 minutes in, and look at that, 11, 22, 33, hiding in plain sight, 33 minutes in, she goes, and even if Ratzinger died and then they elected another fake pope, the cardinals, another fake pope that is in line with Bergoglio, let's say when Bergoglio dies, or when they renew that Bergoglio fake papacy, she says, well, a bunch of cardinals can't change reality. The fact that, Bergoglio is not pope and never will be, cannot be changed. Well, what is the difference then between that and when a bunch of cardinals pretend that a Freemason is Pope, like Roncalli or Montini or any of the other fake popes. Literally no difference. And 1 hour in, she knows that it's about the infiltration. But now here comes, I can't remember exactly where it is, but she goes on about, and on about, well, if myself, Mark, another guy that she sometimes has on the show, and I think Mazza, the guy who writes for the Vatican and sort of says Ratzinger is Pope, if only the three of us are left in the world that say that Ratzinger is Pope, then we are the only Catholics left. That sort of argument, which is pretty egocentric, pretty, narcissistic. Now, it is true that if there is only one Catholic layman on the planet, then that is the church. But Ann Barnhardt is not it, because she's dead wrong, flat out wrong. And at 1 hour in, she clearly knows about the infiltration of the Freemasons into the church as Vigano. She's kind of worse than even a Vigano, because Vigano was a liar and a coward for 50 years, and now he's starting to come out and saying these things, but he still has to denounce the fake popes, which he still hasn't done. So he's trying to hold the Tate Marshall position. I'm a real Catholic archbishop. Yeah, just like Tate Marshall. I'm a real Catholic. No, you're not. You're a coward and a fake at best. But then the really interesting thing is that 1 hour and 4 minutes in, she essentially comes to the conclusion that Jesus Christ is summoned by priests in some kind of magic ritual. She literally says, and when the sodomite priest, this porno sodomite priest, does the Novus Ordo Mass, does our Lord come there? Does he, when he's summoned, does he arrive? Yes, he does. Yes, he comes. No, he doesn't. No, because first of all, the Novus Ordo Mass is invalid, fake, and not valid in any way, shape, or form, because quo primum is a thing. Quo primum is a papal encyclical that says that if you change the Mass from the Latin Tridentine Mass in any way, shape, or form, not only are you a permanent heretic, but the Mass is invalid. It's like 1 page long. And again, I reproduced that papal encyclical in the back of the book. So you've got it all there. No, absolute, total nonsense. And she literally does no longer have any leg to stand on. And the way she goes on about this, it's clear that it's about ego. It's about her not wanting to admit she's wrong. At the bottom here, you see my son's conclusion of Ann Barnhardt linearity of thought. That's his interpretation of her thought pattern, and I think it's a very adequate description. So there you go, 13 minutes in, and I'm now done blasting Ann Barnhardt into a different realm. And I hope, for the sake of her soul, that she does repent, that she does admit her fault, which you will note, those of you who have read my book, The Reclaiming the Catholic Church, it's in part 1, chapter 1. The first attribute of a Catholic is the ability to admit that you're totally, completely, and utterly wrong. I have done this when I had my Road to Damascus moment. Many saints of the Church have done this, including the patron saint whose name I took when I was baptized, Adrianus, who was a captain of the Emperor's Guard, overseeing the torture of Christians. And by seeing how these people so stoically bore their torture unto death, decided to convert there and then and was martyred for it in a horrific fashion, just like the other Christians that were being tortured to death. So that is the level of absolutely wrong idea that you have to admit to. Okay, quite a few comments, so let's have a look. Oh, the High Priestess says such a great topic, as I realized things about her recently. See, that's what I appreciate about Dilo. She always, she goes quite deeply into this stuff. I think she's one of the few women I know that really gets into these things. Okay, guys greeting each other, let's see. Ethan W. Good to see you here too, sir. Ben Evans. People still saying cross the Rubicon. His troops are already there under command of Chris Miller. The Rubicon is crossed, just needs to wait until they realize. I don't know. I'm reserving judgment. It's strange times indeed. I absolutely thought it would be. I didn't expect the fraud to be. I expected a lot of fraud, but I didn't expect it to be so blatant, so obvious, so huge, and to be carried forth by the media with such. I mean, I know the media are complete liars, but I was a little bit surprised by this scale of just obvious bullshit. So I don't know. I'll wait and see. I certainly hope and would like to know that Trump is gonna arrest all those fuckers, and that'd be great. E Scorpio, the Gamma Chief, says, "Will you be participating in Kurgan Challenge on Gamma Secret King subreddit?" I have no idea what that is. I don't know. I don't really frequent that subreddit. I'm aware that you guys exist, and I'm aware that you take pot shots at me, sometimes make funny memes, but I've been busy. I really don't know what that is about. So, and I probably won't know because I'm really not that interested in what you guys get up to. Cole Vicini just bought a copy. Well, thank you very much. Ben Evans should have probably left until no need to apologize. You're just stating your opinion. That's fine. You're in the stream, dude. Hello, Gaijin TV. Good evening. Okay. Oh, we've got another Gamma Kurgan challenge. Honestly, Gammas, I'm sorry, I don't know what it's about. Your meaningless little bug lives are not of very high interest to me. Does she have such loyalty to Ratzinger because his writings helped her become a Catholic? I don't know. Whatever her reason, they're wrong. Ratzinger was one of the main architects of Vatican II, so, and he's a German, probably part of that German faction that has always tried to make the College of Cardinals a thing, which is of course complete fucking nonsense. They're basically trying to say that the power of the papacy should just be spread out amongst a committee, very satanic Freemasonic nonsense. Good almost morning, Kurgan and Immortals. Yeah, oh, it's way past morning here. Exactly. Finnish Bear says, what's wrong with being wrong? As long as you admit you're wrong when you figure it out. Nothing. Everybody's wrong. Everybody has been wrong. Everybody will continue to be wrong throughout their life at different times. E Scorpio says, I can't wait to see Kurgan's entry into the hashtag Kurgan challenge. Well, don't hold your breath, dude. Like I said, I don't know what it is, but the more the Gammas want me to do something, the less likely it is that I'll do it or even know about it. Good evening, morning. Okay, I have a real banger I got to post after I put my daughter to bed. Yeah. Okay, the Gammas are having fun at my expense, apparently. Enjoy. All right. Mostly, is Francis a pedo, Gaijin TV? I don't know whether Bergoglio is a pedo himself personally. What I can tell you with absolute certainty is that he has protected, defended, and promoted outrageous pedophiles, including a sick bastard with AIDS who raped over 30 kids and who has not been defrocked by Bergoglio. Bergoglio's boyfriend, who apparently he definitely had a homosexual relationship with, is a child trafficking motherfucker who is the head of Al Maeda, who had a lady that was going to testify in court to the effect killed, essentially. She tweeted a few days before that if she was found dead, it would not be suicide, she was murdered, and she was found dead a couple of weeks later. So, and Dances with Logos says, yeah, that was a retarded podcast. Indeed, it was. It was. I mean, she just outed herself. David Perkins says, why is a woman leading a Trent Catholic movement? This female thought leader thing doesn't tend to work out. Yeah, generally it doesn't, but don't necessarily be binary. I mean, there have been Catholic saints that were women, and they converted and helped convince a bunch of people. So there's nothing wrong with a Catholic woman like Anne Barnhardt, especially, who is single, a virgin. To all effects, Anne Barnhardt would be a nun, albeit of the Novus Ordo Church. So it's fine. She can have her opinion. She can express her opinion. Willie Ram says, I believe being led by women and children is one of the curses God promises when we stray from the path. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, that is true, and I certainly wouldn't accept a woman's leadership in pretty much anything, because it's not a. See, it's not a Protestant reaction of like, which they've got mummy issues. It's like, oh no, it's a woman, I can't. If a woman makes an intelligent suggestion, I've got no problem considering it or accepting it or whatever. But the women are just not built to lead. I don't know. It's like saying, oh, would you have your child be your leader? No, that just would never happen unless I become completely fucking senile. And then it's not that he's leading, it's that I'm fucking senile, So, yeah. And Dancer says, yeah, her Novus Ordo Mass argument was retarded. It was absolutely nonsensical. Christ is present by angry. Yeah, that was the thing that she said. Oh, yes, Jesus Christ comes to the Novus Ordo Mass, but he's angry. He's angry because it's so sacrilegious. That's absolute fucking nonsense. So what? He also comes to the satanic masses? Because that's what it is. A Novus Ordo Mass is a satanic mass. It's a fake, invalid, nonsensical LARP. So, it's bullshit. David Perkins. I'm no expert, but Charlemagne's mass sword point baptism seemed more Catholic than this woman's ideas. Yeah, I'm no expert on Charlemagne either. Pretty much most of what I know about Charlemagne is what I heard through Professor. Oh, she's an unauthorized, the lady professor whose name escapes me at the moment. She's got a double barrel surname, but she's really good in terms of explaining Catholic history and how it relates to the Old Testament and stuff like that. So, and she went on and quite a bit about Charlemagne, and very, very intelligent explanation and historically accurate explanation of what Charlemagne did and why it was important and so on. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, yeah. Unicorn Cupcake says, so no tulip. I have no idea what that means. Ilya Poiko, good evening. I'm guessing you're Finnish or something by your surname. Good evening, Kurgan. Is the email on your Gfiloto blog good for getting in touch with you? Yep. Eventually I'll get to it. I get a lot of mail, so doesn't mean I'll get to it today or even tomorrow. It can be a couple of days before I read your email. I do eventually get to all of them. Magnus Maximum says, good morning from the Philippines. Any good recommendations on books that I could learn hypnosis from? Learn hypnosis from? No. If you do manage to get hold of all the works of Milton Erickson and you read all of them, which would take you about 4 months, if you spend about 4 hours, 5 hours a day doing it, which I did, you'll have a definite better understanding than most hypnotists. But in terms of the actual techniques, I'm not aware of anybody having done anything in that department, also because you really sort of need to learn it firsthand by experience, by having it done to you and doing it to others and so on. Good evening from Florida, and God bless. I'm Mandy Jones. Oh, hello, Mandy. I saw your comments. I've just been busy, and it's a bit of a pain to go on that platform to reply. So I'm not sure if I've answered your questions, Mandy. If I have, great. If I haven't, just shoot them over here and I'll do it now. Cole Vishigini says, do you think there is valid orders in any monastic orders? If the Novus Order, no. if they are in communion with the fake anti-pope satanic pedophile vicar of pedophiles on earth, Bergoglio, no, they're not Catholics. Simple as. Anyone know a good publisher that prints Catholic children's Bibles? No idea. That Lady Anne looks like a freaking Nazi. I wouldn't say she's a Nazi. For the most part, I like Ann Barnhardt, but she's just completely dead flat wrong on Catholicism, and as a result of that, she's leading a bunch of people astray. So, Scorpio, I saw you were on Parler. Any comment that platform being taken down? I don't believe I was on Parler. I mean, I joined it, and I think I possibly made one post. I can't remember, and then I just deleted it. I deleted the app. I didn't bother to delete my thing on Parler or whatever because I frankly never used it. Any comments on the platform being taken down? Yeah, they're gatekeepers. I basically agree with whatever Vox said about Parler. It was just utter nonsense. That's why I never used it, because I went on there and I was like, what? This is bullshit. And so that's it. Unicorn Car Kick says, stop by, it's all in good fun. Yeah, like I said, I've got better shit to do, so. Finish bear, don't hold your breath, Gammas. I don't perform at your beck and call. Finish bear USA, is Biden going to be installed as president and turn the USA into totalitarian police state? Possibly, I don't know. Wait another 3-4 days and we'll find out. Holy Ram, what do you think helps people get over long-held and entrenched ideas, miracles aside? A bitch slap to the face. And I mean that metaphorically, for the most part, although I guarantee you that it absolutely works in the physical world when, dealing with martial artists with preconceived ideas, of which I've met many. A lot of martial artists that have done other stuff when they came to my Systema class were like, "Oh, Systema's fake. Oh, I can do this. I'm an ex-SAS. I'm an ex-Special Forces. I'm an ex-Aikido. I'm an ex-Judoka. I'm an ex-whatever." And invariably, that get their ass handed to them. And that, you see, when you've got a very quick and solid confrontation with reality that inflicts enough physical pain on you, guess what? Reality suddenly has entrenched in you. In some cases, in certain life circumstances, where reality will continue to give you that physical experience of pain until you adapt to reality, then the process of cognitive dissonance disappears within sometimes minutes, at most a few days, a couple of weeks if you're really entrenched. But you can't deny reality when it keeps breaking your nose, essentially. In terms of not having physical pain, it'll be emotional pain. So and that, unfortunately, in the modern world, often is not enough, because people live insulated and insular lives where they can just retreat into their little cave and continue spouting their total bullshit. That's why we have this explosion of transgender nonsense, fucking blue-haired whales trying to tell you how to live, all the toxic patriarchy, all that fucking retarded gender as a social construct, all that bullshit. Why? Because the crazy people now have a voice without getting shoved into a locker, from the age of 10 on for a good few years. That'll teach them to keep their crazy ideas to themselves and not spill them out in public. Which reminds me of G.K. Chesterton's comment that the average man, the so-called masses, generally have a good take on things. Now, I don't agree that the average person is necessarily good, but I do agree that the average person is relatively uneducated, relatively stupid, and relatively innocent to a certain extent. So that the average person can't conceive of the level of evil, for example, of the elite, of the global homos, of people like Bergoglio and his boyfriend, and so on. And as a result of that, they have a generically better understanding of right and wrong, of justice, than certainly the elite, people like Soros, etc., your so-called betters. Is it enough? In my personal life opinion, no, because they're a bunch of bonobos for the most part in terms of, grasping concepts, basic IQ, that sort of thing. But they're still better than the so-called elite. So, okay, let's see. What do you think helps people get over a long calendar? Rachel Fulton Brown, yes, that's the lady that talks about Catholic history and so on unauthorized, and yes, she is awesome. Her ability to explain very complicated things is very, very good. Chris Javier says, what do you think of the storming of the Capitol? I think there was largely a very genuine mass of Americans and the false flag fuckers from Antifa, BLM, and whatever that actually were allowed in by the cops and did all their shit. That's pretty much my take. It's another Reichstag fire. Kevin says that he misses his Scorpio. Where have you been? David Perkins says, how's it been in England with the new lockdowns? Looks nutty, but I'm in the US and we have a few issues at the moment. Yeah, it is bullshit. I just saw today somebody did a freedom of information request to a hospital, and they issued a response. And the question was like, how many people actually died of COVID only? Because all your numbers so far are saying that they're relating to people that had tested positive within 28 days, which means they could have died of a bunch of other things. How many people actually died of COVID? And the total answer for the whole year, pretty much from I think February to November of 2020, was 312. So, And Scene 11 says, did Bella Dodd ever name names when she said she helped communists infiltrate seminaries in the 30s? I think, I'm not sure. I skim read her book some years ago, so I don't recall, and I'm useless with names, so it's quite possible, but I don't remember. Oh, and Xenostart says that there are links on Novus Ordo Watch that may have proper Catholic children's Bibles. Amanda Jones says, I thought I heard you say that you do chi workouts and fighting styles. No, I don't know if you're aware, but that is not accepted by the Catholic Church. Apparently it has too much to do with Buddhism. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done a chi workout. I don't even read. Well, I kind of know what that is. It's like Tai Chi stuff or whatever. But and you're, by the way, you're also wrong in saying that it's not accepted by the Catholic Church. You don't actually know what you're talking about. The Catholic Church has various rules. Some are divine rules, divine law. Some are Catholic Church law. Doing martial arts or that sort of thing would, whenever it would be prevented from being done, it would be as a protective church law and not divine law. Unless, of course, you're doing some fucking kind of weird witchcraft, which I assure you, no martial art that is an actual martial art has any witchcraft in it. Amanda Jones says, God wants us to be more of ourselves, to find Him, and Chi and Buddhism and Hinduism teach us to get rid of self. Okay, Amanda Jones, that's your bone to pick, whatever. Buddhism is nihilism. Hinduism is not technically wrong. It's just they're worshipping essentially what I think are watchers, so the fallen. Okay, the gammas are having a little chat within the chat, but so far they kind of behaving. And Amanda Jones says the Society of J.K. Chesterton in Serbia is making a new tabletop game that is not Wiccan, however it is spelled. It's supposed to be epic. I'll post and tag you on Champions. Okay, I probably will not have any time to look at it though. David Perkins says, yeah, I would trust a peasant over the King's Minister of Finance any day. Exactly. And in my opinion and in my life experience, a peasant is invariably far more honest than any politician that I've ever met. Minnow actually reminds me of why I was wearing this. I meant to start off with that. Thank you. Where's the best place to buy a rosary? I don't know about the best place, but I got this one from Rugged Rosaries. I have zero affiliation, but I really like the fact you can make custom ones. To find the custom one, you have to search for it a little bit, but they've also got some very nice ones that are just ready-made, already pre-put together, and they're really tough. Like I keep saying, you can use this to garrote an infidel, wash it off, and you won't know the difference. Kevin Duggan says, why are all these freaks trying to tell me to meditate? I'm not meditating. It's not happening. Well, okay. Don't know which freaks you're talking about. I don't think there's anyone in this channel telling you to meditate. Pragmatic Troll, any required reading before reading Divine Comedy? Well, I strongly suggest you buy a few pallet loads of my books, all of them, but, that's just me. The Divine Comedy was also somewhat of a political statement. You need to understand that. If you understand the context of Italian politics back in that day, which good luck to you, because I think if there are 3 people on earth that actually understand Italian politics back then in context, there's probably 4 more than actually exist. So Woolly Ram, speaking of the Wu flu, how much of the vaccination compliance is real and how much is media inflation? I don't know, but what I can tell you is that pretty much all over the internet, the bad reactions to the vaccines are all over the place. I mean, you got people shaking healthy 30-year-old nurses that are now in like fucking comas. It's pretty much everywhere that these things are not safe at all. Chris Javier, do you think the exorcism of Anneliese Michael was true? I don't know, because I haven't looked into it at all. Amanda John, only 312 people died of COVID. Wow. Also, it is shocking Bergoglio had a sodomite relationship. Not that shocking. If you consider that he's a completely satanic Freemason that was put in place to destroy the church, par for the course. And Kevin Duggan, Indians seem cursed to me. I mean, just look what happened to Indians for eternity. I mean, it doesn't look like the Indians are blessed in any sort of way. I don't know. I think the Chinese are probably a couple of steps lower on the road to hell, but yeah, Xenostart says that Rugged Rosaries is very good, and they are indeed. You're most welcome, Minnow, and thank you for reminding me. Mandy Joan, politicians just care about the lifestyle. They don't care about the people. The politics just care about their fancy $300 steak dinners and their retirement. Yeah, pretty much. Woolly Ram, your book and 2 rosaries, regular and pocket, should arrive by January's end. Oh, well, thank you very much, Woolly Ram. And Scorpio said, I had a stainless steel Swiss Guard rosary. It was very durable, probably had garrote possibilities. Scorpio, I know that you're just a filthy gamma, but I'm still hopeful that you will soon be saved and become a proper sedevacantist. do a bit of a rouge on your Gamma Secret King thing and just become a proper Catholic and renounce all those freaks that you hang out with. It says a lot about American politics, how even Putin says all American politicians are pedophiles. Oh, if Saint Putin has said that, I'd love a link to that. I'm not aware that, I honestly, I don't watch I haven't watched a news program on TV for certainly at least 2008 minimum, and I never really watched them before that. But absolute certainty from 2008, I literally have not seen a news program on TV or read a newspaper. I just realized that they're just like letting somebody shit in your brain. And it's not. It just leaves sort of an aftertaste of thoughts in your head when you read that crap continuously. That it's just like, why? And it's completely false for the 99% of it. So. Do you remember where we could find a UK COVID freedom of info request? Well, I don't know. It was on a Facebook post. Let me just see, because the lady put her. Oh. The lady put her name on it, and I took a screen capture. So let me just see if I've got it here. Here we go. So I don't know where you would find this online, but it is from Portsmouth Hospital University. Oh, my phone just died. Damn it. If it charges up again. Hopefully it's not completely dead, because it doesn't seem to be charging. Well, if my phone does come back on, there we go, it's charging now. Just remind me in a couple of minutes and I'll give you the lady's name. Maybe you can find it online. Amanda Joan, by the way, what does gamma mean? Just Google gamma and Vox Day. He's done a little video on it on Voxiversity, which explains it. He's talked about it in SJWs Always Lie, and actually asked him for permission to use some of his definitions in my own book. A gamma is basically a man that behaves like a woman, a bitchy woman. And that's why they're repulsive to women, generally speaking. Kevin Duggan, what do you think about Catholic priest Leo Jeremiah Donovan, Trump's personal spiritual advisor, helping inaugurate Biden? I have no idea who he is, but he's probably a Novus Ordo fake priest, so nothing. I don't think anything about them. They're not Catholics. So let me see where it was. Right. So the letter for the Freedom of Information was sent to the Queen Alexandra Hospital in Southwick Hill Road, Portsmouth. The lady who sent it is Jane Phillips. The date was the 15th of January. And the reply is, Dear Ms. Phillips, Freedom of Information request. Thank you for your request for information under the Freedom of Information Act 2000, which was received by our Freedom of Information team on 29/12/2020. Her question was, how many people have died in your hospital from COVID-19 alone? As in, they died only due to COVID-19. I can see the figures that you publish online, but these are deaths within 28 days of a positive COVID test, so they could have died from other causes. I just want to know the exact figure from 1st February 2020 until the 30th November 2020 of people that have died due to COVID-19 and not anything else, please. And they give her a breakdown by month, and The grand total is 312, 148 of which were in April. And they say, please accept this letter of a completion of your request. So that's it. Lady's name again is Jane Phillips, and the hospital is the Queen Alexandra Hospital, Southwick Hill Road. So there you go. Chris Javier, do you think Trump will save the US even if he gets re-elected? I've kind of given up on him having our back, and all he's done his last year was set communist lockdowns and become a vaccine salesman. Chris Javier, do not despair. You're young and weak, my friend. What Trump has done is absolutely gigantic. He has exposed to the whole world just how fake the media is and just how many pedophiles are running things. That has never been done before. I've been alive a lot longer than you have, and I knew all the shit that you people are starting to figure out now. I knew that with absolute certainty back in the early 90s. And people used to look at me like I was crazy when I told them this stuff. Now, everybody is like, you know, like the meme. How should you talk to your conspiracy theorist friend? And it's like, that's the BBC. Like, there's a BBC headline that was recent. It was like, how should you talk to your conspiracy theorist friend? And then somebody added below it, like, a cartoon drawing of like one guy going, I'm sorry, you were right about everything. Because that's pretty much how it is. So Trump has now exposed that to the entire planet. That is a huge achievement. If he does nothing else, that man has achieved more than any politician and certainly any US president has ever done in probably in the entire history of the planet. So, and he needed those 4 years just to do that. That was the whole point of Q. That is the whole point of Q, which is, I mean, Q's been saying that from day one. That's what we have to do. We have to make people wake up, and we have to boil that frog because most people are completely fucking stupid, and we have to keep showing it to them. Now enough people have seen it that you've got a couple of million Americans that are like, we're ready to burn this shit down. So I do think that if Trump does get back into position of being the president, he'll certainly have to drain the swamp, because at that point he will be accused of being a tyrant and of being a dictator and blah, 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 and of having done a coup. That's what all the media will say. So he's eventually going to have to, you know, he's going to have to deal with that right away. So there's going to be repercussions. Exactly. Woolly Ram also replies to Kevin Duggan and says, New York priests are not Catholic. You know, exactly. You might as well ask me what a Wiccan is, what my opinion of a Wiccan in the Vatican is. None. They're pagan, satanistic scum. The Finnish Bear USA says, is the Cabal an ancient entity, and if so, how ancient? Well, yes. Ultimately, their leader is Satan, so it is the most ancient rebel ever. In terms of the physical aspects, yes, there have always been evil men conspiring. The conspiracy theory of history is correct. If you're so dumb as to think that powerful people don't get together and monopolize shit, well, I don't know. You're just dumb as shit. That's just how the world works. Kaijing TV says, you can't deny reality when it keeps breaking your nose. Can I use that? Yeah, go right ahead. You know, like Vox, I'm a little bit partial to like people giving credit where it's due, because I do punctiliously whenever I can. David Perkins, gammas are the rightful inheritors of all the hard work and achievement of mankind, but women confuse them. No, they're not. Gammas are scum who belong in mass graves. Grampus Aurelius, gammas are a low-status male in the social sexual hierarchy, prone to lying, betrayal, and inflated self-worth. Indeed, that's correct. Kevin Duggan, gamma is the philosopher realm of your brain waves in real life. Gamma and alpha are the best brain waves to have. Beta is the bad one. No, Kevin, you're just one of the little gamma hive people. Gammas are scum. Scorpio, Mandy Jones, stop by the R Gamma Secret King subreddit for all the gamma knowledge you could ever want. Scorpio is the chief of the gammas, and he is actually, I don't dislike Scorpio. I think that I could probably, you know, have a beer with Scorpio and have a good laugh. And I might think he's a bit of a prick or an idiot or a liar or whatever, but not really a liar, actually. I don't think that's him. You know, I might sort of come off thinking he's not the greatest guy ever, and I'm sure the same from his side, but I think we could have a good laugh. I think we could probably have a fun time. And I think Scorpio, and I'm being dead serious here, I think part of the reason that he's such a gamma is because he's bored. And he doesn't have anything truly real to like focus on. I believe one of the things that he does believe is truly real is his children. I believe he has a couple of daughters, and I think he's probably a devoted dad. But probably almost nothing else, you know, hits him with that level of intensity. And so he just pokes fun at people he thinks are like grifters or whatever. I don't have a grift, so I guess the gammas sort of go after me just because I'm friends with Vox or whatever. But you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, you know, if you're gonna have any kind of public persona or any kind of prominence, you're gonna have people trying to take you down just because that's the nature of the insect part of humanity. Okay. Mandy thanks the explanations of the gammas. You're most welcome. FYI, everything is open here in Japan. Yeah, the Japanese are pretty evolved people. You know, they're like, the average Japanese probably has an IQ of about 120. You know, so and they can be some serious midwits, but generally speaking, Japan just works, and they kind of. I could live in Japan, only because I'm not Japanese. I would hate to live in Japan as a Japanese, but as a Baka gaijin, a stupid foreigner, I could get away with a lot of stuff there, and you know, still have a cool time. Kevin Duggan says, "Yes, I see you. Trust Trump. Trust the plan." Like I said, I'm just gonna wait for the 20th. There's no reason for me to. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. I think I do know that Q was definitely a psyop. What kind of psyops? You know, I think I have a fairly good indication that it is the so-called white hats, but I don't actually believe in full-on white hats pretty much anywhere, so I'm sure they have other motives as well. And Woolly Ram says, Trump has given heritage Americans more time to prepare for the coming crisis. Exactly. Kevin Duggan says, you do realize that Q was in the paper right now as psyops headed to court as being an FBI? Say, yep, I mean, it's public knowledge now. No, Kevin, it's not public knowledge. You have got no fucking idea what is going on. Q was not an individual. It was a group of people. And of course it was a psyops. It was a giant psyops. Now exactly what the psyops was, open to question. And if the newspapers told me that the sky was blue, I would assume it is now a different color for whatever reason. So again, you're quoting mainstream media. And I'm getting a little bit sick of the gammas, so watch yourselves, because I'm going to start banning people. BLM burning down their locally owned Wendy's looks pretty sad after January 6th. Well, yeah, it does. Chris Javier, how do I red pill my parents on the Crusades? They think there is no such thing as a holy war because Jesus said if you kill by the sword, you die by the sword. I'm assuming your parents are retarded Protestants. Kill by the sword, die by the sword means that if you live as a bandit, you'll die as a bandit. That's the context of that particular passage in the Bible. you will note that Jesus told his followers to have swords. So you might remind your parents of that. You might also note that when Peter cut off one of the Roman soldiers' ears, he did not admonish him. He did not say, oh, you're doing a bad thing. He just said, no, no, just leave the dude alone, because he had other plans. So Jesus was not a pacifist. He took whips and whipped people in the face, overturned their tables, and bodily threw them out of the temple. And also, you've got to get over that bullshit KGV interpretation of the Ten Commandments that says, oh, do not kill. No, it does not say do not kill. It specifically says do not murder. And Catholics have always and will always believe in that death penalty and just war. If you don't know what just war and the death penalty are, look them up. Kevin continues with his gammoness. Q is in all the newspapers as being an FBI psyop. I told you, I don't give a fuck what the newspapers say. Whatever they're saying is a lie. Yeah, we can all say gammas are bad, but in behavioral science, in real life, the gamma realm is deep thought. That's all it means. No, that's not what it means. Kevin Duggan, now be quiet. If you post again your gamma bullshit nonsense, I will ban you. David Perkins, Chris Javier, why would dying by the sword be unchristian? Exactly. By the way, another point, tell your parents, if you want to red pill them, tell your parents to read the short book by Saint Bernard, I believe it was, who wrote the new, in praise or something like that, of the new chivalry. One of you guys that has the exact book title, please just put it up. It was by Saint, it's a small book, and in there it tells you that it's absolutely great and good to fight for God. And even if you die, it's okay. Woolly Ram, speak of unreality, does the feeling that everything going on is theater only get stronger with time? Yep, pretty much. But it's always been theater. You've just been believing it. Now it's like the Wizard of Oz. The curtain has fallen. And Trump has pretty much done that. I wouldn't say single-handedly, but certainly he's the front guy. And there's not a lot of people propping him up in public that I can see. David Perkins says they think it's because that's what Christ said to Peter to stop him from defending him. Yeah, they get the context completely wrong. I don't know. People who can't read, they're tough. Amanda Joan, why is no one talking about the Erdogan Turk roach and the Hagia Sophia? He's literally the freaking Antichrist, desecrating all our cathedrals, persecuting the Armenians. I'm not a fan of Armenians. They might be Christians or whatever, but they're a pain in the ass. And, the Turks have been converting the Hagia Sophia they've been doing that since Muslims existed. It's what they do. My parents are Novus Ordo. Well then, I suggest you show them believe. Or show them my 10 minutes video number 1 that asks them, why do you think you're Catholic? You don't know a damn thing about Vatican II. You don't know a damn thing about Catholicism. You're certainly not following Catholic rules. You're a heretic or an ignorant, deceived. Exactly. Finnish Bear says, why on earth would you take the newspaper seriously? Use them for lining your birdcage, my boy. Exactly. Carl Philip Gebler says, apparently this Kurgan challenge is just people making Kurgan memes. They're just trying to trick you into seeing memes, making fun of you. So petty. I don't care. I've seen their memes sometimes. I haven't been on there, so I don't know what memes they've got now, but whatever, man. There's some guy that does like action figure dolls memes. I mean, he's done one of Vox, he's done one of me. I quite laugh. I laughed. It was kind of funny. I mean, it's whatever. If that's what those guys want to spend their time doing, who gives a shit? What do you think about the Proud Boys? I think I don't know much about them. I think they're a bunch of LARPers pretty much, and their so-called leader, is it Gavin McInnes or whatever, the guy who like shoved a dildo up his ass live on camera or whatever, a fucking moron. So to answer your question, I don't think about them at all, pretty much. And the only things I know about them are things that pass across my field of vision from time to time. Nothing I would stop on. Unseen 11 says, would it be worth translating the Vatican Constitution that St. Pius X wrote in Latin that hasn't been translated? Yes, it would. A very good question. You've obviously read my book and paid attention. It would be, and it would be great if it was some kind of officialized translation. I have read it. I didn't bother trying to translate it because it is pretty long, and my Latin is certainly, I'm no official translator. But yeah, it would. So if that's something that you've got the ability to do, or know people who can, that would actually be worth doing. Yeah, and of course make it public. Amanda Joan, by the way, the Crusades were 100% just. The Muslims were begging to be slaughtered. Well, yeah, they had I don't know, killed and enslaved how many million Christians before the Christians replied. Kevin Duggan, Tulsi Gabbard is responsible for Ali Alexander, the main provocateurs in diverting the Women Republican March group to the federal buildings and causing all this trouble. Kevin, switch off the TV. Switch off the TV. Read a book. Not Harry Potter. Read something else. And not 50 Shades of Grey either. Pick up a graphic novel or something, Start at your level. Xenostart puts it most succinctly. Kevin Duggan, who gives a shit? Exactly. You go. David Perkins says, you got the title right. St. Bernard's was a major part in creating the Knights Templar. Well, there you go. It's called In Praise of the New Chivalry. Amanda John, there you go. David Perkins has answered the question. In Praise of the New Chivalry by St. Bernard. The idea was that holy monks could also be warriors. In Praise of the New Knighthood, you can find the full text online. Oh, there you go. So actually the correct name is In Praise of the New Knighthood. And you can find the full text online. You can also buy a little book of it, whatever. It's worth a read. Now, initially I gave a bad review of it because I read only the first chapter and I thought, well, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm not too impressed. But that's because I hadn't appreciated the politics of the time, the context rather. So I was reading the first chapter with a more present day kind of attitude in my head, which was totally wrong. And even the political side of it, when in context for the day, it's actually fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But more importantly, there's nothing wrong with his description of the way that a Catholic knight should be and behave, and how their belief is essentially the fundamental point and not the painted chiffon with which they, perfumed princes covet themselves. Finnish Bear says the Proud Boys are Fed-led Judas goats. Quite possibly. Certainly, Dick Spencer, the Dick dispenser, Richard, is some kind of like Fed plant or whatever. And he's also a retard. And David Perkins says, I think there are different translations. Yeah, it's quite possible that both names are the new knight, In Praise of the New Knighthood and In Praise of the New Chivalry. I think that there may be different titles of it because it's been translated from, I think, the Latin. So, Woolly Ram says, I tried watching Gavin once. I found him to be simultaneously repulsive and boring. Yes, that, Woolly Ram has always got a very good way of describing things. It's right. Kevin Duggan says, I'm not Catholic, I'm apostolic. It's similar, but I would never pray to Virgin Mary for any reason. Shut the fuck up, Kevin. No one cares. You are a dumbass heretic Protestant who doesn't understand a fucking thing. You're not a Christian of any shape or form. Now be quiet. Right, you've said that twice. Now we have to go ban your stupid ass because you can't follow instructions, just like the typical fucking gamma that you are. So let's go ban you, because I don't think that my sniper is here at the moment. So let me just kill the sound on this one, because you're going to get some echo now as soon as this pops up. Yeah. Kill that sound, and let's just go and kick Kevin the fuck out. Because Kevin is a dumbass who can't follow instructions. Bye. Bye-bye. Kevin Idiot Head Duggan is left the building with a Kurgan footprint on his ass. There we go. Done. Let's close that. All right. So, where were we? Right. Chris Javier says it's easy for you to understand Latin, just like it's easy for me to understand it because I know Spanish. Yeah, it's a little bit more complex than that, but I've actually had some education in learning Latin. Not a lot, but enough that it helps. LS16 says, Kevin listens to the Beatles while reading his newspaper and drives a Buick with an AARP bumper sticker. Scotch Girl says, not Harry Potter, LOL. And Chris Xavier says, I've heard Easter schismatics saying Templars were Masons. You know, what can you do? Protestants are morons. And if you're not a Silvacantist, you're basically a Protestant. If you're a Novus Orco, you're either a moron or a Freemason. So, you know. Woolly Ram asks Kevin why he would cut himself off from the Communion of Saints. Well, he's cut himself off from the Kurgan channel, that's for sure. We don't give a shit who you would or would not pray to, Grampus Aurelius. Exactly. Bye, Kevin. That was then a start. Gaijing TV, the Kurgan like Vox is an ammunition channel. Always credit you all. All good. And Amandi says, so epic, bandit dumbass. Yep. Gaijing TV says 105 IQ, third in the world. Yeah, 105 is the average, but you know, most Japanese are more awake than your average European, put it that way. Amanda Jones says, Ave Maria, gratia plena and Deus vult. Slanty Chauffeur Bear, historyforatheists.com, and Bearing False Witness are useful reads on Christian history. Bearing False Witness is very good. I haven't read historyforatheists.com, but interesting. More importantly, they're moral. Yes, the Japanese are moral. Now, they might be slightly different morals from Christians or whatever, but they have a morality. They absolutely do. And they're, for the most part, extremely honest people. They're, compared to pretty much every other nation I've been in, I would trust the Japanese probably more than I would trust, I would say probably more than any other nation I've been in, on a generic, you know. Holy Ram, why do people ignore the last line of the Apostles' Creed? It's the seal of our declaration of faith. Well, you know, it's the whole red-headed stepchild thing. Minnow, schismatics gonna schematic. Bye, Kevin. Good luck reading toilet paper. Yep. Scotch Girl. I like Scotch Girl. She's very quiet and usually makes an interesting comment. So let's see what she says here. Off topic, but Kurgan, can you remind me of the title of your dad's book? Oh, I've got it here, so hold on. Let's see mine. There you go. You can have a look at the cover. So you know you got the right one. It's got the same name as me, so Life and Death in Africa, that's it. And yeah, his name is at the bottom here, very small, but again, Giuseppe Filotto, Life and Death in Africa. It is a very funny book, and all true. You know, it's not made up stories. It's in fact, I would say he's probably left out about 50% of the stuff that you know, some things he just can't put in a book in public, at least not while he's still alive. David Perkins says, you look like you had a long week, but this stream is really good. You don't know the half of it, mate. I've had a long fucking few months, really. And that's why I've not been here very often. But it's all to the good. It's all working out. God provides in a very interesting way. And I hope that in a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, I'll be able to share some of the things that I've been busy with all this time. Neophyte 1 says, hi Giuseppe, ordered your face on Mars. Very cool. You have a YouTube presence. You're most welcome. #hashtag says, I recently discovered the publisher Tan Books. They are against Vatican II and publish a manual on spiritual warfare. I think I may have read part of that. I don't remember. David Perkins, the book The Templars by Michael Haag debunks the idiot Protestant Templar theories, also decent Crusader history. Okay, there's a lot of books called The Templars. An interesting one that I read was by that kind of weird guy. Oh, what's his name? I forgot his name. He was the guy who he wrote several books. He was a little bit of a mystic, kind of weird Germany type of individual, but I don't know. I can't remember his name now. But he wrote the thing about the Templars that was interesting. I don't know if it was correct and very accurate or whatever, but it was interesting anyway. Chris Xavier, I was watching your video on nations and you never made fun of mine, Ecuador. Ah, there's actually a couple of Ecuadors. There's a type of Ecuador in Africa as well, but I believe you were talking about the Sudaca version. I don't know much about Ecuador because they're so insignificant. There you go. Just a quick stab to the heart. Boris Johnson is Turkish. I don't know if that's a joke, true, or it wouldn't surprise me at this point. Scotch Girl says, I like you too. A budding romance over YouTube. There you go. Yeah, see, Grace Caviar took it to heart. I love what you think about the Germans. It's 100%. My brother married one. Well, he's probably happily married in bed then, because, you know, German women have to put up with German men for sex. And that's just, I mean, that's the bottom of the scatological barrel of porn, really. All right. So the Vatican going dark. There's a whole bunch of people on Social Galactic saying, where's the Kurgan? You know, is that his doing? And Minno says, did you show up to the Vatican? Why'd they lose power for hours and block off roads? Look, I have people not too far from the Vatican, but that wasn't me, all right? I didn't do that. My brother's German wife has tried to put him in jail 3 times. Ah. Yeah, look, I don't know. I've never been with a German woman, and I never will be. So, Chris Javier says, are you familiar with the thesis Oh yeah, the Cassiciacum Thesis. Yes, I am. I have it actually in French because I think that's how it appeared in the originals. I discuss it a little bit in my book. Essentially, you have to understand that when Friar de Larrières was putting his theory together, it was the early days of Vatican II heresy, and he was trying to be as charitable as possible. So in essence, his whole thesis was like that potentially the anti-popes could have been materially correctly voted in as popes, but spiritually were not popes. It is sort of a distinction without a difference ultimately, because if you're spiritually not the Pope, then you're not the Pope. And as for being materially voted in correctly, first of all, that's very questionable. And with hindsight, I think we can definitely say that it is almost certainly not the case. But even if it were the case, it's irrelevant because a bunch of other anti-popes were voted in legitimately. Nevertheless, they remain completely anti-popes. So I think differentiating between the material and the spiritual part of the papacy is unnecessary. I think it was, for the most part, an attempt to try to give an out to the fake popes in case they were going to try and repent. But I also think it's possible that Frade de Larrières didn't have an appreciation of just how corrupt and evil and Freemasonic and intentional and satanic the whole infiltration was. So, Woolly Ram says, most serious question: will Germans be permitted to speak on theology in the coming Kurganate? No. They will be allowed to farm the fields if they're quiet. It's about it. David Perkins says, German porn. Now I won't be sleeping. Now I won't be sleeping. No Stahlhelms in the bedroom. now I'm disturbed because I'm thinking possibly you won't be sleeping because you'll be browsing German porn. I seriously advise against it. It's just not something you want to watch. Scotch Girl says, LOL, I was so hoping you were at work when the Vatican went dark. Oh, give it time. Give it time. And like somebody on Social Galactic said, if I was taking over the Vatican, it wouldn't be dark. It would be bright enough you could see it from space because of all the torchings, all the fires that would be going on in St. Peter's Square with the heretics tied to the stakes. Chris Cavier says, so you are a totalist. I don't know what that means. Wooly LS16 says, Wooly, the real question is, will Germans be allowed to breathe Kurganate oxygen? That's see, he gets me. But no, we have to be charitable. We'll be allowed to work the fields like beasts of burden. DMW says, hello, buying cat litter online. Guess I shouldn't have said I was a spy. On Indeed, I wouldn't mind a live C2C in a couple or a few weeks from now. What? I don't know. We got some crazy people in the channel. And Slanty Chauffeur, and I've just remembered that I think I blew off Simon the Amputee again. Fuck. I was supposed to do a stream with him on Friday. Dude, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. I'm just like continuously blowing off a cripple. That's just, I guess only a Kurgan could do that, It's just wrong. Apologies, man. I will try and make it up to you. I've just been so fucking swamped with stuff, that really important shit that I need to take care of. So sorry about that. Slanty Chauffeur Bear says, do you know any good reads regarding the Japanese Catholics in the 1600 Japan? No, I don't. But, you know, DuckDuckGo is your friend, I suppose. Amanda Joan, what do you think on the church not making J.K. Chesterton and Fulton Sheen saints yet? Well, the church has got bigger problems. They've been taken over by Satanists, so I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. David Perkins, Zenostart says David Perkins likes when they role play as concentration camp guards. I guess. So Zenostart was commenting on why David won't be sleeping because he'll be watching German porn. Chris Cavier says Kurgan is the Italian John Wick. Yeah, I don't know about that. You Venetian. Yeah, good correction. Well done. Blowing off a cripple had irony. David Perkins says it's all about how you position the lampshades. Oh, that's we definitely have some immortal humor in the stream today. Wooly Ram says, while some priests might make fine distinctions about being a total or partial sense, as a layman, I'm happy to be a total and strident sedeprivationist. Or, yeah, look, you know, I mean, with all due respect to Father de Lerdiers, who, you know, thank God he was about, and I do still call myself a deprivationist as an homage to him, really, for his charity, because charity is important. But I am not a very charitable man to begin with. I'm not a very patient man. Ultimately, I'm a pragmatist. That's like saying, you know, if you're going to try and make an analogy, it's like, I don't know. Yes, your wife is, you know, materially doesn't cheat on you, but spiritually does. Well, is that a marriage? You know, or vice versa. Well, she's spiritually not cheating on you, but you know, she fucks every other guy and the garden boy. Is that a relationship? You know, it's like what? It's just what's the difference? If they're spiritually not the Pope, they're not the Pope. And there's literally no difference in terms of theology, in terms of the being anti-popes. There is literally, you could say that every anti-pope was spiritually not the Pope. I mean, and practically every anti-pope was, not all of them, but a lot of them were validly voted in as popes originally. Certainly you could make that argument for a lot of them. So what? They're still anti-popes. So, you know, I think it was just a way to try to give them an out in case they were going to convert, realize the error of their ways, and sort of go, actually, yeah, I was wrong. I throw out all the Vatican II stuff. But I guess perhaps they didn't quite realize just how badly infiltrated the church was. Very few people did. You know, Bonigny was one of the only guys who did, and he was making dossiers on these guys, and they shut him down. The Freemasons were already so deeply entrenched in the Vatican in the early 20th century that they shut Bonigny down. So, Amanda says, I always say that when you have kids, you can forgive everything. It is that way. No, it isn't. Even God does not forgive the unrepentant. What do you think of the 50,000 Italians resisting? Great, more of them. And there's towns in Italy that have basically said, fuck you and all your rules, we're going to carry on as normal. And they do. And there may be more such towns soon. Chris Cavier, I know you said you should bang a girl to make them right and then marry them, but do you think it would hurt the relationship if she is already a pious true Catholic? Well, no, of course not. That would be a bonus. And you know, look, don't be binary. There's no like one size fits all in life, in pretty much anything. You know, what I was saying is like, don't you be one of these guys that despairs, that says, well, I got divorced once and oh well, and you know, now I'm just gonna be a man, go their own way, and I'm just gonna masturbate myself to death because women are just evil. You know, that's just a pussy. It's a fucking weak ass move. You know. Are you dead? No. Well, then get your ass up and carry on. And what I'm saying again is like, I don't know, maybe you're in like some kind of hellhole, like pretty much I've been, like London. You know, is it hard to get laid in London? No. I think even if you're a troglodyte goblin fucking scum, you can still get laid in a city like London. But does that mean that you're meeting quality women? Probably not. But you know, human beings are human beings. And now I'm you know, like I said to a young man that was asking for some advice not too long ago. Now, don't go pick the meth head crack whore who's giving it on the corner for like a snort, you know, as your, I'm going to work on this project, you know. Try and avoid that shit, you know. If you can find a pious Catholic girl, great. You know, you're 3 steps ahead of everybody else. Sure. And then in that case, maybe you don't start by banging them before you ask their name, you know. So you got to adapt, dude, you know, like think laterally. Okay. David Perkins says, you know what? All jokes aside, why cut any of these satanic pedo priests any slack? They haven't earned the benefit of the doubt. Exactly. Plus, if they're Novus Ordo, they are not a priest. Let's get that straight into your head. They're not a priest. If you're Novus Ordo, you're not Catholic. Okay? Whether you're not Catholic because you're choosing to be Novus Ordo, in which case you are absolutely not Catholic, and you're most likely have done away with God's forgiveness and grace. Now, if you're an ignorant, lazy, fat ass who can't be bothered to study the history of his own church, of his own supposedly most important philosophical point of his life, you can't be bothered to get off your ass and learn about it, then you're an ignorant. Now, God being merciful, he may be forgiving of those people and permit them entry into purgatory, potentially. But you're still a lazy ass whose sin is sloth, at the very least. Okay? So, do not assume, but if you're a priest of the Novus Ordo, that's the best situation possible, is that you're criminally incompetent and criminally lazy. Because that's like saying, I'm a policeman and I don't know that it's a bad thing to rape children. Well, no one ever taught me. Huh? The fuck are you talking about? You're a priest and you don't know anything about Vatican II? Or what heresy is? Or what the church actually is and was and has been for 2,000 years? And you call yourself a priest? That's criminal level of incompetence. So, no. And for the most part, they're not criminally incompetent. They're absolutely knowing that the Novus Ordo thing is completely false and invalid. They're lazy grifters. So no, I don't cut them any slack at all. Amanda says, well, I was saying that because of your missed appointment on Friday with your friend, things like that. Yeah, my missed appointment is scandalous. It's shameful on my part. There's no reason why I should expect the other dude to forgive me. I mean, for all I know, he was fucking crawling on his hands to get to his camera because his wheelchair fucked out, waiting for me, and I didn't even bother to tell him, fuck dude, I don't have the time to do it again. No, it's very bad. It's another one of the sins that will be added to my time in purgatory. And I am sorry about it, but, you know, as you can see, I'm not bawling my eyes out. So, got to take your lashes, you know. When you're done wrong, you got to take your lashes. That's life. Documenting these truths about Japan is our mission on Gaijin TV. Thanks for the wake-up slaps. You're welcome. Woolly Ram, Newark priests have no excuse, at least not one I can see. Exactly, they don't. It literally is the equivalent of you saying, oh, become a policeman. And somebody says, oh, well, why aren't you stopping that guy from raping a child? Is that against the law? Huh? What? Wake up. Chris Cavier says, Woolly Ram, I meant totalist, referring as the opposing side of the Sedis who oppose the thesis. There is no opposition. There is essentially no difference between sedeprivationists and sedevacantists. They literally hold the same ideas. It is a finer point of tuning where the sedeprivationists are saying that wrongly, they admit that technically, based on canon law, they are in error when they say that you cannot say that the anti-Pope Bergoglio is a heretic. You absolutely can, and in fact, by canon law, you must. But what they're saying is that in the foro interno, only God can judge. And that is true. They are correct about that. But it's irrelevant because the foro externo is public and notorious. Therefore, you have to assume and you have to treat him as a heretic, which they also accept. Yes, you're correct in doing that. But their only point of distinction is their opinion is you can't for definite say that that guy is a heretic. I disagree with them totally 100% of that, and I say you can. I also agree with them 100% that only God can know the internal state and the internal of a human being, therefore ultimately he's the only one that can judge. I agree with that. But as a human being here on earth, I don't care about such distinctions, nor should I care about such distinctions, and it's not my job to care about such distinctions, or anybody else's, by the way. You are a public notorious heretic, you are to be shunned and treated as such. End of. That's it. Good enough for me. And that means I can absolutely call you a filthy heretic. And I should. It's my duty to do so. I once saw a tweet of a Novus Ordo priest saying the Council of Trent was unfortunate. Well, yes, of course it was, because the Council of Trent was in direct response to the Protestants, which is what the Novus Ordo are. They're just another faction of rebellious Protestant heretics, at best, or satanic, infiltrating, evil enemy scum, for the most part. So it was unfortunate for them, not for us. Woolly Ram, nowadays even a lazy ass can learn about the church history and the Vatican II infiltration of the church from YouTube while shoveling ice cream down their maw. Exactly. So, Chris Javier, how long do you think we would go to purgatory depending on our sins? I think time there is of a different nature, but it's a long fucking time. And from the experiences that I've read of saints who have visited purgatory, they said that it is the most intolerable, absolute pain that they've ever felt, and 1 second of it was enough to make you go mad. So I'm certainly not looking forward to it, especially since I think I've got a few eons in there at best. And Chris Cavier says, that's what I did. Shoved this maw full of ice cream while he went online. Okay. Well, at least you're honest. Now stop being a fat ass. Go do jogging or something. Yeah. Well, I've been going for an hour and a half. 39 of you here. I think there was about almost 50 of you at peak, so that's very kind of you. Any other questions? Fire them now. Oh, we have our one down vote. The one down voter. I think you should shave your beard, down voter. Your beard just makes you look a bit pedophilic, you know. And you don't have an especially trustworthy countenance to begin with. So strongly suggest maybe you start wearing contact lenses and shave off that lengthy peach-ass fuzz growth. David Perkins, I like your points about how easy it is to find a decent woman. I've never understood the men go their own way whining. Well, you know, I also don't understand homosexuals, but there you go. Basically, men go their own way. They're weak. You know, the average human being is, and I'm going to borrow a sentence, I think a phrase, from, you know, 2000 AD, the comic book. I never really liked it much. I think the two stories that are, the two series in the 2000 AD comics that I sort of liked the most was Rogue Trooper and Strontium Dog was also okay. And then there was one that I didn't like. I've never really liked the art, but it was the one where they've got, like, I think robots as part. I can't remember if it's ABC Warriors or something. So they've got like robots, but there's also a few humans, and there's one human guy, you know, they're totally screwed, like complete PTSD guys. And one of the humans is so traumatized by the war and shit, and he's just like killing people all the time that he thinks of human beings as just soft bags of meat filled with guts and blood, because pretty much that's what happens. And most humans are. Most humans are such weaklings. They can't handle any level of truth or anything. So, you know, that's the men go their own way. Yeah, I got hurt once. Oh, you know, it's the same. Like the average person doesn't become a martial artist. Why? Because when you get punched in the face the first time, it hurts. You break your lip. Oh, sore. They wander off. Same shit. And, you know, admittedly, you know, like a divorce and like not being able to see your kids and that shit is far more painful than, you know, having your nose broken a few times or whatever. But so what? Are you still fucking breathing? Then get up. What else you gotta do? You know, what other important shit you got to do before you drop dead of old age? Ethan W. says, I have a feeling a lot of us are joining you in that long purgatory session. At least you will have some friends. Yeah, I don't know, because, you know, apparently purgatory is essentially hell. It just doesn't last forever. So, and I read something really disturbing, which is at least 1 or 2 souls will be in purgatory right just before the end of infinity. So it's like, I really hope I'm not one of those guys. Really, really hope I'm not. And you know, I'm bad at praying, I'm bad at being grateful, I'm bad at very many things that supposedly shorten your time there. So I definitely believe in indulgences. So all you guys, you know, donate money to the real church, not the fake fucking Novus Ordo one, you know, in my name. I'll be really grateful. Thanks. And prayers to shorten my time there, because I believe I have a long ass time in that place. Chris Xavier says, I've been seeing demons when I pray to the Virgin Mary. Well, you said Virgin Mary uncapitalized. So first of all, correct your spelling. And what I think that means is that probably you're drinking too much. If you actually, and no one prays to the Virgin Mary, so I think you're confused. Do a rosary properly, so you'll be fine. Amanda Jones says, thank you for these awesome conversations. It's imperative these days. Awesome people. Where do you spend most of your time online, since it's not at Champions of Light? Well, Social Galactic. Join Social Galactic. There's a nice group of people there. Listen to Rachel Fulton Brown, the professor that's an unauthorized. She's got a brilliant series on unauthorized. You can join unauthorized for like $5, and I think you become also a Social Galactic member. So, having your eternal nature, Woolly Ram says, having your eternal nature pruned to confirm with God's nature, bereft of your body, with nothing but prayer and your guardian angel for comfort. Wooliram, the image used in the Bible is of a crucible used to remove impurities from gold and silver. Indeed. Gaijing TV says, Venetian John Wick, word. What does end of infinity mean? I don't know exactly, but it sure sounds long, doesn't it? Amanda Joan, you will be if you keep cursing like that. Cursing is a curse. Okay, Amanda, I'm starting to think that you're a little bit of one of those Puritan chicks, you know. Not my favorite. So just, yeah, I know all the shit I do wrong. You don't have to remind me. It's fine. DMV said a name in my home, name and spouse called me BPD, going down, very corrupt, double down, they weren't aware of the feds. Dude, I don't know what you're saying. You're not making any fucking sense. Chris Javier, I don't drink. Well, then it must be the sugar rush from stuffing all that ice cream in your face. And Mandy says, my grandmother, who is basically a saint, said to never curse, and I always held that close to my heart since I never was able to meet her before she died. Well, Mandy, good for you. You are right. You're doing the right thing, and I'm not telling you to do otherwise. I'm just saying, I know what I do wrong. So don't stress about it. You want to do me a good turn? Say a few prayers for me. Okay, 140. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes just to see if any of you have any more like serious or silly or whatever questions, and then I'm gonna go to bed because it is a stupid time here. It's 3:30 in the morning, and I've got stuff to do tomorrow. So yeah, unless you've got any more questions, I'm done. This is the last time you will hear me say that I'm not a Puritan at all. Okay, good. You know, it's hard sometimes to interpret what people mean in the chat. There's a few gammas throwing stuff. I'm underslept, but whatever. No, I'm sure you're a good Catholic girl. That could mean all sorts of things, but no, I mean that in the good way. All right. So, David Perkins says, "Have a good night, man. Don't work too hard. Good luck with your various Kurgan things." Yeah, thanks. It is all Kurgan things that's you know, taking up my time at the moment mostly. So, and Cole says that he is looking forward to reading my book and thanks for writing it. Well, thank you for buying it and thank you for reading it. LS16 says Kydex or leather for the GP100. I think you're talking about the grip for the 357 GP100, and I'm not aware that they make a leather one, the grip for it. I think it's a combination of wood and wood. I think Kydex is a kind of rubber or something. Yeah, mine is just a standard GP100. I don't know. You know, whichever one you like best, whatever one feels best in your hand. Woolly Ram, try praying the St. Michael prayer before the Rosary. Its purpose made to remove spiritual influence from you. There you go. That's a good advice. Grandpa Australia says, have a good all until next time. Amanda says, fuck Puritans. Oh no, I've corrupted you. You should have listened to your grandma. Don't listen to me. I'm basically an ex-mercenary converted to Catholicism. I'm barely gonna scrape through if I manage. Don't swear, Amanda. No, you're a lady. That's I hope so. I don't know. Maybe you're a slutty skank that swears a lot, but you know, you made a good impression. Keep it. Thanks for the time. You're welcome, DMV, although I don't understand any of the things you're saying. Domo arigato. Gaijin TV, that's what they say. Domo arigato back at you, buddy. Chris Javier, if I die in a state of mortal sin but I repent, will I go to hell? Well, I believe that if you do not have the ability to confess but are truly genuinely repentant, you have the opportunity to go to purgatory. God is not a lawyer. Remember that. Or a butt sticker. And Scotch Girl says, good night. Good night to you, Scotch Girl. I guess that means you're Scottish, but I just can't really picture you as Scottish. I do picture you with red hair, so maybe. Repent at the last moment. Yeah, but if you're trying to do that as a lawyer, like get out of jail free, I think you might come up short. You too, Woolly Ram. Have a good night and sleep well. Oh, holster material. Yeah, I prefer leather, but it depends. You know, like some of the new stuff is good. When I last was in South Africa, I actually used it wasn't a leather one. It was some kind of rubbery thing that actually sort of sticks to your skin really quite well, and that was it. That was the only, and it was better for concealed carry. So, you know, I just tried them both. I mean, how much is a holster? You know, just try both. See what works best for you. Amanda Joan, babies, babies, babies. You gotta love them. You're so blessed. Have a blessed night. Also, I added you on Facebook, and you still have not responded. I hardly use Facebook, and if you added me to the Kurgan profile, I was banned for long enough that I don't really use it anymore. So I'm probably going to be going off Facebook pretty soon. So DMV live stream in my house. Honestly, dude, I don't know. Maybe English is your fourth language. I have no idea what the fuck you're writing most of the time. Thanks for the encouragement. Okay. You're welcome, Amanda Joan, and it's nice to see you around. Tom Mastroianni comes in late, says, just got here, looking forward to the replay. Thought you were in the States when I saw you were live streaming at this hour, you know, with the potential upcoming events this week. No, I'm going to leave that all to you guys. A Scotch Girl says, LOL, blonde hair, blue eyes. All right. That works too. Chris Javier, I guess it's a pretty Jewish thing to do. What? How are gun laws in Italy? They're all right. LS16, good night and God bless Kurgan and Immortals. Thank you for streaming. And David Perkins says the old model GP100 with the round butt is the best 4-inch barrel. Yep, that's the one I got. And Bieler467 says thank you for the stream, Kurgan. I need to catch you live more often. Have a good night. You too. Good night all. Thank you all very much for being here. And 31 thumbs up and only 21 people in chat, so that's pretty good. One more when you subtract the down voter, then we have people on the chat. Thank you very much and have a good night.